Welcome back to InsideX. I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday week off there. Canada Day, 153 years of Canada, and you enjoyed some of these XD Thermal. I know I did over the time off, crushed a few of those. But good to be back. We got a great show ahead of us. We got the Rockstar Energy recap this week is going to be Montreal Supercross 2019. We've seen some heavy hitters come to that as usual. We're going to break down that with Ryan Gauld. Parts Canada prediction this week. We're going to talk about the three-moto format that's coming in. I'm going to get Gauldy's opinion on who's going to be the guys to excel in that program, who's going to benefit, and who's going to be weaker in that setup there, as well as talk about the border crossing and people dealing with that coming from the U.S. We're going to touch on that. Insider trading this week. You're going to get the need to know on the Triple Crown series. What you need to know to come and race the series, amateur-wise, WMX, premix, and obviously the pro classes. What's in store for us ahead in these few months. Our guest interview today is going to be a whole shot racing Yamaha rider all the way from BC, Tyler Gibbs. He's going to join us in studio today, our first guest in studio, so going to be fun to have him in here. And also joining us via Zoom chat is MXP Magazine Chris Pomeroy. We're going to talk to him about his past career and how it led him into being a magazine guy, the head of that whole setup there. Anyways, before I go any further, I'd like to thank Data Video, obviously setting us up. The whole studio here at Jetworks is Data Video, all dialed in, cameras, sound, all that good stuff. Parts Canada, can't thank those guys enough. The Thor Alpine Star gear lines are out and ready to go for 2020, and you'll be probably seeing the 2021 stuff very shortly. Obviously, Rockstar Energy, XD Thermal, get those BCAs into you. Royal Distributing, Yamaha Motor Canada, and Cardo Systems at In-Ear Piece. Also, you can get those Cardo Systems at Parts Canada, a double whammy there for you. And we'll be back right after these short commercial break.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
Welcome to another Insider Trading here on InsideX. Usually I'm joined by Ryan Gauld this time, but we're going to hold off on Gauldy. We're going to bring him in here for Parts Canada prediction and the recap. I just wanted to talk to you guys and get you up to date on what you need to know for racing the Triple Crown. Obviously, we're going to have the pro stuff. We're going to have the WMX stuff, but there is going to be some amateur portion into this mix. So on your screen now, you're going to see some of the things that we're going to go over. One thing, the most stressful thing I got to stress is it's only online sign up. You cannot go to the track and physically sign up. You've seen it with the AMO races as well as some of the races across the country that are starting up. Everything's going to lean to online sign up. That's just going to be the whole, I feel like it's going to be, even after this Corona stuff and we got everything figured out, it's going to be the way to go for the future. I think it's a lot cleaner for everybody. It's a lot easier. Everybody's got a smartphone in their hand to do this stuff, so it's very simple. Every rider is allowed 5 crew members, and I can't stress this enough. If you're not going to race, if you're not coming to race, you could watch this on Fox Sports, MAVTV, Two-Wheel TV app, stay at home. We have to keep this to a minimum. 5 crew members. That could be mom, dad, that could be your cook, that could be your massage therapist, whatever it is, your mechanic. But you have 5 spots, and then the rider is your 6th person, so 6 total. Crew passes are going to be on the online sign up. So you're going to do your online registration. As you scroll down, there's going to be a link to the crew sign up. They're all going to sign their waivers. They're all going to get past that point of making sure that when they get to the gate, it is just a scan in like a ticket and you're on your way, very clean. All the gate people will be wearing masks and shields to make sure we're preventing any spread and we're doing our part to help the cause. Like I said, all riders with the waivers, each rider in the crew will be scanned into the gate, like I just said. And the next one, riders will be checked in at every venue. There will be no tech. There'll be no bike tech. Riders are responsible to have their jerseys with the numbers on the back, their name, their numbers on their bikes, obviously big enough, and the right color combinations. There's going to be a whole rider pack out on this stuff to make sure you guys are checking off the list. They're going to have the Triple Crown logos. If the Triple Crown logos aren't on the bike and they go up to staging, there will be a guy with staging stickers that will help you out there. Transponders, if you're renting one, they're going to be picked up at the admin trailer, and a mask needs to be worn anytime you're at the admin trailer or up at the staging or starting line area for mechanics or riders. Riders meeting is going to be via Facebook Live, or it will be blasted over the radio system at the venue so everyone can hear in case they don't get data or they can't use their Facebook, whatnot. It will be over the loudspeakers as well. There will be no results posted on site. It'll be online only through via Instagram, Facebook, our Rockstar Energy Triple Crown result page. We do not need people gathering around a TV screen or a board to get the results. We need them to be safe, and anytime, like I said, admin trailer, you're going to wear your mask. We're going to jump into what the schedule is going to look like for each class, including amateurs coming up here. So first on the docket, the 450 Pro class. On Saturday, 450 Pro class is going to be the first on the track. They're going to free practice at 8 a.m., qualifying at 8:50 a.m. So around 9 o'clock, they're going to qualify. There's going to be 2 qualifiers. For the free practice on pros, there are only going to be 1 free practice. So there's going to be 40 guys total, no more than 40 guys per class. They're going to have 1 free practice, and then they're going to be split into 2 qualifying practices at 8:50 a.m. You notice on this, 10 a.m. Moto 1. 450s will be the first on Saturday. There's 2 good reasons for this. They're going to be the first on TV. So when TV starts, Premier class is going to be on, as well as the 450s have a tougher schedule on Sunday. So this is going to give them a little bit of a benefit of having a cooler moto on that Saturday. So you see on Sunday, 10 a.m. free practice, a little bit later than the other guys that will be practiced. We'll see in the other schedules. Moto 2 and Moto 3 are pretty close together, similar to what they have been in the past, 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Make sure you guys hit those staging times. The full schedule will be out in this rider pack, and that's all to come out on Thursday. Next there, the 250 Pro, they're going to be free practice right after the 450s, qualifying right after the 450s, and their Moto 1 is at 11 a.m. after the 450 Pros. The Sunday, they will be having an earlier free practice. It's an optional. You don't have to go to this. Moto 2, 10:15 a.m., so pretty early. They got a bit of a gap there to Moto 3, which will be live on TV. The Moto 2 will be on the Two-Wheel TV app, but on national TV, Moto 3, the final moto of the 250s, will be on that. So you see that a little bit spread out for those guys, a little bit more relaxed day on the Sunday. For ladies, the WMX, on Saturday there is some classes that ladies can ride. I will get into the more amateur classes here in a minute, but ladies 12 plus B and girls 9 to 16 years old, they'll have their classes on Saturday. The WMX national class will be on Sunday with the other pro motos and FXR premix. Their practice will be first thing in the morning, 8 a.m., Moto 1 at 9 a.m., and then 11 a.m. is Moto 2. So they'll get a good day. They'll get it done early. They'll get to watch the rest of the pros in the afternoon and enjoy their Sunday. Moving on to the premix class, you see there on your screen, 12 p.m. on Saturday, and we'll get in these amateur classes, are amateur classes. So some of these premix riders can ride on the Saturday all afternoon. We're going to have that after the pros are done. Saturday morning, we're going to jump into amateur racing. I'll touch that in a minute. 8:15 on Sunday is free practice for the FXR premix. 9:30 a.m. is Moto 1. 10:40 a.m. is Moto 2. They're going to have a nice day as well. Nice and early for those guys before the main hit of the 450s come out. And here is Saturday's amateur classes, which will start at noon. Lots of classes to pick from. Obviously limited, and there's going to be limited entries. So you'll have to jump online early. Make sure you get your spots. I know classes like the Open Junior and some of the 50 classes will fill up quick. At Gopher Dunes itself, the 50 classes will be on the smaller track, limiting the amount of entries. The biggest thing I get from this, guys, is I can't stress enough, make sure you're doing the online registration. You have your MRC membership intact before this all launches on Thursday. You can go on to mrcracing.com to get that. And this will be blast it over Instagram, Facebook, and you'll be able to find this no problem for registration. There's 40 guys in the 450, 250, WMX, and FXR premix, as well as limited on all amateur classes, as we're going to do from 12 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Saturday for amateur racing. And like I said before, the biggest thing I can't stress, 5 crew members only. If you do not have a racer in this event, stay at home, watch it on TV. We would love to have fans here, but this is going to be a 0 fan event, no spectators allowed. It is just going to be racers and their crew, and it will be brought the best coverage possible to your TV set at home. You can enjoy it in your AC and obviously get your XD thermal for those events, and it'll be a great time. Anyways, we're going to jump to a quick commercial. We're going to come back with Parts Canada prediction. We're going to get Gauldy's thoughts on the series coming up, as well as a Rockstar Energy recap coming up, and many good interviews. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
There's nothing like race time. Something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
You know, the adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. You're in the moment. I think that's the feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.
And we're back with another Parts Canada prediction. I got Ryan Gauld joining me. Gauldy, good to see you, buddy. How you been?
Doing good, my friend. Missed last week, a little bit bored, actually. Didn't really have much to do. There wasn't really much going on. I had to spend more time with my kids and my wife. You know, I don't know how much fun that always is. No, I'm just kidding. But, no, looking forward to get back into here. Where it's crunch time. We are just a little under 3 weeks away from round number 1, and 2 days until the quarantine border stuff has to close, and it is crunch time, man. It is go time for everything that's Triple Crown Series.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to bring up is the border. But before I do, we haven't talked since you had the Walton Ontario Provincial, which was one of the biggest events that Ontario's seen in a long time. I believe it was almost 600, 700, almost 700, sorry. It was 688, I believe, entries, which was unreal.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. Actually, at one point I had like 780, but for some reason there was like getting duplicate entrants in the new online system. So I was like, I didn't even know what I was going to do on Sunday. I'm like, how am I going to have a race schedule? How do I do this? Like, who's... But anyway, we figured it all out, and it ended up being 686 for the day, and we mustered it through. We got started at 8, done at 6:30. Had a couple incidents as far as ambulance, a couple broken arms, nothing too crazy, part of the sport sort of thing, and it was amazing. Like you said, we haven't seen those kind of numbers back when we were racing in the early 2000s, kind of thing. And again, it just goes to show when there's only one game in town and there's sort of one option for everybody to go to, everybody goes to it, and it showcases exactly what the sport needs. You know, of course, yes, I'm on the top of it. I'm running it, so we're making money. And yeah, the track is getting rented. They're making money. And the payback is good. People are getting money that way. But it just showcases if we all stay under that one umbrella, believe in the system, showcase rules, follow a guideline, and it can be done. And man, I'll tell you, it is. I have not had any negativity from those events, which has been such a great positive from it all. So I'm super excited. We're off to Gopher Dunes this weekend, and then Walton before we head back to Gopher Dunes for Triple Crown. And it's amazing right now. It's truly the picture I painted if I was dreaming to become a promoter. This is the way I would want it right now. I guess I just needed to make up a pandemic.
Yeah, there you go. And you're exactly right. I was at both the first 2 rounds of Ontario Provincials, and it's nice to see the provincial series being as strong as it is at like when we grew up. Gopher Dunes and Walton, I want to say that's kind of like a prequel to what's going to come for the Triple Crown. It's going to be good competition at both those.
Yeah, exactly. And for guys, there's a few pro guys that have been in town a few days earlier, so they might even be able to race the Walton race maybe to do some testing as well. So we could see some other name pro guys. I know Tyler Gibbs is in town right now, and he's racing this weekend at Gopher Dunes. He's already signed up. So I'm excited. It's an exciting time in Ontario for sure. I wish it was the way on the rest of the provinces. I saw Manitoba's got going, some fun things in Alberta going on there, and Quebec is going racing. So we're progressing, but Ontario right now, man, I'm stoked that I'm leading it and being a part of it, because it's amazing to see, and I'm very happy. I'm very proud.
Yeah, paving the way for the Triple Crown. One thing I wanted to talk about on the Triple Crown is now the new 3-moto format, trying to make up some events that we had to cancel. Obviously, we only have 5 nationals, and that's going to make for 15 motos. Who and what do you think is going to benefit the most out of these things? Obviously, it's going to be a morning program for the Saturday for the pros, and then obviously a normal day for the Sunday. Who's going to benefit from this, Gauldy?
Well, I think the main guys are going to benefit the same. Your Cole Thompsons, your Phil Nicolettis, Dylan Wrights, and those guys, and then your little bike classes, Tanner Wars, Jess Pettis. The main names are going to come out on top that were supposed to be on top. The only thing that could be a little bit different is maybe you see that one guy, like say a Meston or Dakota Alex, not coming now. Let's call it Richard Taylor on the Sky Racing. Guys like that could maybe just smash out one awesome moto where things kind of go wrong, but everything falls into place for them, and they get like a 5th or a 7th, or maybe even hit the podium in one of these things. And then of course they made like you see like a Supercross 3 moto format where it was like a 3, 9, 12. So I think we're gonna see that odd moto. And it's probably most likely going to be that Saturday one because it's a bit more fresh and everything in the morning, like you said, a little more cooler times, and everybody won't be so tired and kind of hungover, have that moto hangover from the day before. Get that smash out moto. But I think the best guys are still going to rise to the top. 3 moto format, you're going to have to be in great shape. You're going to have to be tough. The tracks that we're going to aren't any easier than any other ones, of course, starting at Gopher Dunes. It is going to be hellish in basically the middle of July here, or end of July, and it is. I'm assuming it's probably going to be about 100 or so degrees outside, kind of being the same as it always is. They're always being so hot. But as far as the series goes, I like the 3-1 format. I like what we've done in sort of creating what we were going to lose as far as not being able to go out west and go to all our original rounds. We're putting it all in one thing. We're giving our sponsors, our TV package, our supporters, the amateur side of things, still an option to come and ride. The women's series, the premix series, everything is going to be there. Obviously, the no spectator thing, it's going to hurt a little bit, but we've condensed it and made everything work as far as the schedule goes. You're showing that, and it is really going to be unique. But I really truly believe that it's going to be something for us to look at in the future as well. Instead of having maybe travel so much and getting extra flights or extra hotels, where we could squeeze maybe one round in the West has this 3 moto format, and then we only go to 2 other places instead of going 4 different places. Something like that. I think this is going to be the changing of the guard, and I think it's going to be great to see for the sport side of things, because it was basically, throw some poop against the wall and see if it sticks this year. This is what we've come up with. And I'm excited to see how it works. But as far as the players, I think the main guys are still going to be those guys. But I do believe one out of those 3 motos, we're going to have someone that me and you are going to be talking about in the booth going, holy jeep, where'd that come from? And then the next time, moto, he might be 15th or something like that. But I still think it's going to be Phil, Cole, Gerke, banging bars with, and Madags, Dylan Wright banging bars with that 450. And then your 250, you got Welton, Pettis, Rensland, Ward. Those guys there are going to be the ones banging it out for that 250, and those will be the guys we'll still be talking about the most of. That's right, Kyle. Time for another Rockstar Energy recap. This time inside Olympic Stadium, Montreal Supercross, the first round of the Triple Crown Series. 2 250 main events, 3 450 main events. This is the second 250 right here. Jess Pettis took the victory in number 1, and as the melee subsides, there's the number 1 sitting on the ground right there. Kyle, this is what it would be to the knee injury that would take him out with the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's shocking because he got up and it was just such a soft little crash there, but a torn ACL, leave him out for 6 months. The only good thing about this is COVID happened and he's got longer break to heal up, so he should be good for round 1, Gopher Dunes. But out front, these guys put on a clinic, especially the number 94.
Yeah, the medic's looking after him right there. Yeah, Luke Rensland there, the MX-101 FXR Yamaha. Got out front, he was doing. Dylan Wright tried to keep making some stabs. And as you can see, the dirt was super hard here, and we had car racing and ATV stuff as well in this. So once he got into those later main events, the track was really hard to pass. Dylan Wright kept making mistakes. Rensland was starting to kind of move away. Dylan Wright getting a he got a 5th in moto number 1. sitting in second right here. And then Tanner Ward, he was down on that first turn. He starts making his way in. It was almost one of those times, like those outdoor races, Kyle, when we're trying to figure out the overalls, because it was insane how the points were working out here about halfway through this main event.
Yeah, we had 3 or 4 guys at one point that were battling for that third position. Obviously, Canella was in that spot, and you'll see what happens to Canella here in a minute. Rensland just looking flawless out there, bringing his indoor skills from the States up and really putting on a clinic here. You see him sliding. There's Canella, got caught up with the car shear of a tough block there.
Yeah, he got that in the back wheel there. And look at then Tanner Ward going down. This track was tough. A lot of the 250 guys could never kind of find that settle moment. They kept pushing the envelope, and they would go down. Luke Rensland ran out leading. He got 9th in main event number 1. So the inconsistency was what was consistent about our 250 Supercross main events here. And as you can see, the dirt, it was so hard there. Tanner Ward, once again, kind of pushing his way through. But Rensland on the 94, he was strong. Kyle, he got himself up front. He just kind of soldiered. He didn't do anything crazy. He did exactly what he needed to do in the front of the pack.
Yeah, nice and smooth around that hard surface. As you said earlier, the quads and the cars and whatnot were going out there. And Tanner Ward obviously making moves there. He just passed his buddy Quint Amiot, trying to get himself up into a podium spot. But like I said, Rensland just so firing here. And there wasn't much battling going on in the 250. We'll see more battling in the 450 as we get to those recaps there. But yeah, Rensland got out front and just kind of put in consistent laps and just pulled away as he's catching up and lapping Bjorn Vinny there. Not quite getting a lap down here, but Rensland just coasting to the finish here.
Yeah, he'd bring home here this main event, right, like I said, and he would go 9-1, looking back right there to see where Dylan Wright is. Dylan Wright making some mistakes. He actually went down the other time there. So Rensland would take that second main event win. Here's the results. Dylan Wright with the overall, Kyle, with a 5-2. A 5-2 for the overall. And then remember, Matthias Jorgensen, he gets third overall there. On the last lap, he had the overall over Dylan, but he threw it away in the very last turn or something like that. It was absolute mayhem there. And this is the second 450 main event, and then we show the third 450 main event. Dean Wilson won the first main event here. He gets a great jump, but up the inside, it was the Smart Top Honda rider there, Malcolm Stewart. But again, Phil, he was being sneaky as well on the Rockstar GOTSF ride with Cartwright going down.
Man, Phil was so good this night, and this moto especially. Actually, the first one and the second one really strong. Look at him get up behind Mookie. And what happens here, he's got Brayton and Wilson behind him, but those guys, you'll see here in a minute, they get into a crazy battle, and Phil kind of gets away from them and has a nice little cushion behind him. So right now, very tight, but it opens up when Brayton and Wilson get into it.
Oh, yeah, this right here, I watched this recap when you guys sent it over and took it. I couldn't remember this. This battle was insane. Look at, okay, so Wilson, boom, he's got the pass. He's got it right. He's making the pass, no problem right there. Maybe drifts a little bit wide. Brayton gets down. He's up the inside now, Kyle, and it just keeps going like this.
This is great, and I know the 250 class wasn't the best racing, but look at this. Another block pass back by him, and they're going heading into the whoops. It gets super hairy right here, Gauldy, as Brayton makes that pass. Look at this, rubbing elbows.
I love that right here. And then Brayton makes a mistake. He goes outside. Wilson goes up the inside. No problem there again. And then Brayton, he gets the drive. Scrub time for him. He takes over that spot once again. Then he swings a little. He's trying to be protective. Wilson gets the drive on him here. He gets the power to the ground. And then he's going to make the pass into this final turn right now one more time. And this is where he would make it stick. Dean Wilson would push right there and make it happen, getting himself into that third spot. But like you said, Malcolm and Phil had checked out at this point, and now back to some Triple Crown regulars, Gerke and Thompson. Finally seeing those guys, they were never really able to find that comfort, but Thompson finally able to make that pass.
Yeah, nice smooth pass there for Thompson. Obviously, those guys just a bit off the leader's pace, Phil and the other boys, but battling for precious Triple Crown points here. Look at, Gerke just getting into it, just not having enough room there.
Running right into it right there. He actually had to hit the brakes there because Thompson cut up there. He wasn't sure about that. That could have caused some more damage for sure. But Mookie, Malcolm Stewart right here on the Smart Top Honda, no problem at all. He's going to grab that second main event win, start to finish after making that quick pass on Phil Nicoletti. But there it is. Phil hanging on a second, beating Dean Wilson. So as it stood right there, Malcolm and Dean were tied going into this final main event. So it was up to those guys to see who could be the boss. And Phil had that outside chance. And don't forget, coming into this, it was between Phil and Cole, only a few points for that Rockstar Triple Crown. And as of this point, going into this third main event, Phil had Cole's number as the gate drops.
Yeah, Phil was on fire, and this is where incident runs in for Cole Thompson. Right up the inside, cutting over the bail. He ended up getting docked later on, and Moffenbauer down, and there, Mookie down as well.
Yeah.
So that gives Dino a nice little cushion there of a whole 20-pack of riders in between them.
Yeah, Dino would do exactly what Mookie did in that second main event, get up front and just run away. Brayton would hold him strong, but as you can see, the whoops kind of started to change there. They were so big during practice in those first couple main events, and then they started kind of tripling through them, and that kind of hindered Mookie a little bit because that's his strong suit. He was able to come back hard here and work himself up to 5th by the end of this, but there was no catching Dean Wilson. It was awesome to see. It was kind of Dean sort of getting himself back into the mix, having another rough year in 2019 with some injuries and stuff. So to see him come out here and take this main event win and eventually the overall was a happy time for him, and it was good to see you there. It didn't stop Mookie that time there from tripling. Man, he's so good in the whoops.
So strong in the whoops, and it's awesome to see. He gets by Cartwright there and moving up into a position where he's going to snag a podium. Obviously, he's got Cartwright's teammate right there in front of him, Clayson. But yeah, you're right. Dino, kind of a homecoming for him. He grew up racing a lot of Canadian racing. Good to see him back winning the Premier class at one of the biggest races that Canada's ever had.
And something we can allude to here, this was the Triple Crown format, but we added 3 main events compared to that one that we normally have. And it was Olympic scoring. So we're talking about how we're doing our 3-moto format for the Triple Crown in 2020. It's not the same. Each moto counts for points towards that championship. As we see Mookie getting the drive on Thompson. Thompson just sees it coming. He says, you know what? You got this. Take it right now. But that Olympic scoring is not going to come into play on our outdoor series, but it is going to be a 3-moto format. So kind of neat that last year at the Montreal Supercross, sort of a bit of a window into what the future is now holding here in 2020.
Yeah, kind of a glimpse of what we were going to do here in the Corona year in 2020. But Dean Wilson, untouchable here. He gets the 3rd main event win and takes that overall, which is a huge victory for him and a huge thing for his resume going forward, 1-3-1.
Yeah, Wilson, Stewart, Brayton, the 3 bot riders coming into the place, Nicoletti, Clayson, Gerke, and Thompson, 5-5-14 with that docking, like you said, really threw a wrench in his Triple Crown plans, and they're trying to get that $100,000.
Yeah, and that's another recap in the books. We got 2 more. We have Quebec City and Hamilton to finish out the 2019 series. And guess what, Gauldy? By the time we're done those, we'll be going racing at Gopher Dunes. So I'm looking forward to actual recaps.
Yeehaw! Oh my God, live racing. I'm excited. I can't wait to make another live call with you, buddy.
All right, buddy. Anyways, we're going to jump to a quick commercial. We'll come back with a couple interviews, and then we'll jump to that social media check-in and lots more stuff here on InsideX.
From day one, Fox has created products with intention and purpose. So we can inspire your best ride, your fastest race, your greatest adventure. It's how we connect and how we dream. We were made for inspiration and for possibilities. For fast starts and long journeys. For challengers and for champions. Fox was made for you. So get out there and do what you're made for.
You've got the ride, and we've got the parts to keep you going. Royal Superstores, with massive selections of products no matter what your power sport is. Top brands you've come to trust. Huge selection, amazing prices. Your one-stop shopping destination for the rider in you. Royal Distributing, Canada's power sports leader. Shop online, by phone, or in one of 4 retail locations. Fast coast-to-coast shipping right to your door. Royal Distributing. Eat, sleep, ride.
And now I'm being joined by the Yamaha rider, the young gun last year in the runnings for the Parts Canada Rookie of the Year, Tyler Gibbs, in studio, the first one we have in studio. Tyler, great to have you here. How you been?
I'm doing really good. It's good to be here, and yeah.
Yeah. So what is your spring riding looking like? Did you get down to California before this whole COVID thing hit, or are you just riding in BC?
I got to California in March. I went there for a week, and then COVID got bad, so went home, and then the weather's been kind of rainy and stuff back home, so I didn't ride as much as I would like to coming into the season. And then a week and a half ago, I shipped my bikes out and hopped on a flight and came out here to start getting ready for Gopher.
Yeah, and that's kind of when you came on the scene. I actually took you to the Walton Provincial we had not too long ago, and it was probably a torture for you having to sit there all day and watch all your buddies ride, just in the hot sun, just wanting to get out there and ride the new Yamahas you've been on. And how has the transition been from Kawasaki, obviously, last year, and now you're on the whole shot motorsport Yamaha?
Yeah, it's not that big of a difference to me because I rode Yamaha last year. I was going to ride Yamaha, and then I ended up switching to Kawi, and then I raced Supercross, Futures, and Supercross on the Yamaha, so not that big of a difference, but it feels good to ride a Yamaha outdoors. I haven't really got to ride one since like 2017, so definitely good to try a Yamaha outdoors.
Yeah, and before I jump back into what your career was in the amateur career, I just want to give you huge props on doing the Supercross this year. you got out, and I believe you qualified for your first night show. How was that all? And then, how'd that all come about? Because I know it took you a long process to get there.
Yeah, so you can do the Supercross Futures and get your points that way, or if you're a Canadian, you can what's the word? You can talk to the one lady who runs the
CMA.
Yeah, the CMA, and she can put a letter in saying that you can ride Supercross. They just want to make sure that you're not you have the ability to ride it. So I got it through her, and then I raced San Diego, and that was definitely eye opener for sure. I made it to the night show after qualifying. I blew my tranny in the first qualifier, so I had to ride my stock bike in the second one. So that was definitely scary on a Supercross track on a stock bike, but I made it work.
Yeah, and going back to now your amateur career on that thing, that was obviously awesome to get to the Supercross and get to that level of able to qualify for a night show and just be in that show. And it's the first time I met you was actually Penticton 2015. We were out there for the Arena Cross Tour when we first brought it to Canada, and I met you and your brother. You were a young, shy kid, but you ripped up CRF 150 in those indoors. And it brings me to my next point is the fact that you're kind of like an indoor guy. Like, would that be something that you prefer to do, or do you like both? You like motocross, keeping it pinned? What is your options there?
Yeah, I've been riding like Arena Cross since I was like 4, so I kind of got the Arena Cross stuff down pretty good. I probably in the future would like to ride just Supercross. Like, I like the outdoors, but the Supercross to me is more fun, like, having to time all the big rhythm lanes and making sure you're in the right gear coming in the whoops and all that stuff. So maybe in the future I just ride Supercross when I'm a bit older, but I still like to go fast on the outdoor track. Yeah,
and it's also one of the races that stands out to me most, and I know we talked about it this past week when you came over to Ontario, was Barrie Arena Cross, man. You went out there, had an awesome heat race, made that clash, did it awesome in the clash, and then the main event had a great start and finished up there. We actually had you in the booth that night too, so it was a great night. It probably stands out for you as well.
Yeah, that was definitely cool because the weekend before the race I did all right, but then this one I got a start and I led the first lap and then the second lap and then the third lap, and I'm like, I was like, wow, like if I get a start I can definitely be up here with these guys. So it was definitely really cool.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, kind of gives you that confidence that going into the night show, like the main event and stuff like that, and you've seen it in your result and how confident you were going forward. It's too bad there wasn't more rounds after that. I feel like you just got the ball rolling. One thing I want to note is that you're out here early, getting some time on Gopher Dunes. You're going to race this weekend, Gopher Dunes Provincial, but you're staying with some family, and I learned when you got out here, you have a bunch of family out here, and your parents both grew up in Ontario.
Yeah, I'm staying at my grandma and grandpa's because they live in Strathroy, so it's like 40 minutes to an hour from Gopher, and yeah,
works out rather nice. One thing that I got noted is your brother out with a femur injury, I believe, this year, and he's an up and comer, similar path to you, I believe, quite a bit younger, 4 years younger. But is his plan to go pro? Is he going to follow Big Brother?
Yeah, he'll probably follow Big Brother. It's just getting him I don't know. He just rides whenever, but he's so good at it. Like if he rode all the time like I do, he could be he could be even better than he is. But yeah, he definitely wants to go pro.
It sounds a lot like the Stewart brothers. I know James Stewart coming up, so serious, so tuned in, just like yourself, and with the training and riding. And then Mookie, who's doing so good right now, didn't really care much. Would rather go fishing and have fun with his buddies, and then ride when it was convenient for him. But now your mom, dad back home. Obviously, we work with your mom on the official side of things. She works for Future West out there and does a lot of the reffing. And then your dad grew up racing, so you guys have a pretty huge racing background.
Yeah, my mom helps with the stuff out, like when you guys come out west. She helps with just like lap scoring and sometimes for the other stuff we have, the reffing and stuff like that. So yeah, and then my dad, he raced, so definitely got me and my brother into it when we were at a young age.
Yeah, and coming off last year, obviously you were in the running for the Parts Canada Rookie of the Year award. Very close to you, Quinn Amiot and Sam Gaynor, obviously getting the nod for that. But it must have been pretty cool to be in a race with those guys and just know that you were competitive in that run for that Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool to be in the running to be the Rookie of the Year because I got a lot of exposure out of it. So yeah, it was definitely really cool.
Yeah, and now going forward this year, I feel like you're stronger, obviously, another year under your belt. What is your plan for this year outdoors? Where do you see yourself fitting in that 250 class?
I definitely want to be top 10 every weekend and then just get inside that top 5. If I can get a start every moto, if I can start up front, I know I can finish up front. So yeah, just be a front runner this summer.
Yeah, half the battle, just getting that start, beating those guys off the line. Anyways, Tyler, that's about all the time we have. I know you have a lot of people to thank for being here and just being on the East Coast, so far from home. Who are some of the guys that helped you get out here?
I'd like to thank Larry from Whole Shot. He got a truck and trailer for me and Parker to race this summer. Huge help there. And then Yamaha for the bikes. Andy White from FXR for all the gear. Bell Helmets for hooking it up. Guts Racing, Lime 9, C4 Motors, my trainer Kevin Urquhart from Bulldog Training, Mongoose, Recluse, Mobius knee braces, RMR suspension, Forma boots, and I started training this year with Migration, so they've been a huge help in my program.
Yeah, the Migration guys are really taking over the Canadian scene. Obviously, they have Tanner Ward and Tyler Medaglia kind of setting the map for them last year, and then they got a lot of young guys coming up, so it's good to see those guys. Thanks for coming in, Tyler, man, and we'll see you racing this weekend at Go for Dunes. Hopefully get some cool footage leading up to the Triple Crown of you ripping that Yamaha. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you soon. That was good. Perfect timing, too.
Sweet.
Nice, buddy.
I always hate doing interviews. I'm so
Oh, man.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
Now being joined by the MXP Magazine frontman, Chris Pomeroy, Ontario legend. How you doing, Chris?
Ontario legend. I like that one. I haven't heard that one before, but that's a good way to start this off. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Just staying busy through this time, getting ready for nationals. What's a spring ride? And I know you don't personally have a bike right yet, but your son's been out riding. I've seen you at a couple races there. He's looking good on the Super Minis.
Yeah, I've just been kind of being moto dad, really. Ridden a little bit, just borrowed some bikes here and there, but this whole COVID-19 pandemic has certainly, it's affected everyone, but, just the whole media bike thing, which is usually pretty seamless, obviously got complicated. So, just been working on a track at home, making sure it's good for Ayrton, and going to the races here in the last few weeks. So life is good. No complaints.
Nice. No, that's good. And we spoke briefly at Walton, and you're saying that through the summer that some of the OTSF boys are going to be able to train at your place. It's very close to Steve Sims' shop, which is the home base for OTSF. And that'll be cool to have those guys, and I'm sure Ayrton is looking forward to having Phil Nicoletti in his backyard.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. We just got Bill Wallen, kind of an Ontario legend himself. Now he builds tracks and stuff, so he's got his own dozer. So he came down a couple weeks ago, redid our track, and Steve Sims lives. He could almost throw a rock from our track to his place. So he's hopefully brings the boys over. He said he might, so it's going to be cool to see those guys, ride on our home track.
Yeah, no, of course. And I believe you need to get a bike because you got a title to defend at the Transcan. So, you got some good training partners coming over. We got to get you that number one bike out and get ready for the Transcan. I'm sure you're going to be there full force anyways.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to race. It obviously depends here in the next couple of weeks. Every year, it's always the same thing. Every year, I'm like, you know what? I got to get more prepared and do some more races before Transcan, and then it always seems to work out that, you know, you look at the calendar and you're like, man, Transcan's in like 4 or 5 weeks. I better get going. So, I mean, I guess that's the vet life, right? You always go in a little unprepared, and everyone's in the same boat. So we'll see. We'll make the decision here in the next couple of weeks.
No, exactly. You know, you just come in last minute, usually vet riders, and pick up a bike, get a couple quick weeks of training, you're good to go. One thing I wanted to touch on is just go back a little bit in your early years of racing. You came up, and that's what the Ontario legend to me is. I always remember just the perfect form of racing, and back then it's a lot different than now. Obviously, you know, without the social media, without it was hard to find results on people and stuff like that back then. But one thing is, you had a lot of motos in a pro national. You had to do 125 class, 250 class. You had 4 motos in a day. You know, what kind of a grind was that for you back then? And thinking about the guys now, how they have only just the 2 motos to worry about.
Well, I mean, it was obviously different. It's tough to, I think, in any sport to compare, you know, one era to the other. But you know, it was tough in its own right. You know, the motos back then were, like you said, 4 motos. I think they were, you know, 20. I think they were 25 plus 1, if I remember correctly. But you know, 4 of those babies in a day. It was, you know, it was a lot of kind of pacing yourself. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest difference to these days, now, is that guys it's more of a sprint, a little more intense. Back then it was, you know, the first moto, you're always trying to save yourself for the second moto, and then the second moto, you're thinking about the third. So you're always, you know, you pushed, but you didn't want to extend yourself, so to speak. So you're always trying to think ahead, and then of course lining up for that last moto, that final moto of the day, and you know, 4 o'clock, 4:30, whatever time it was, and there was no hiding the fact, you know, how tired you were. Your hands hurt, your ass was sore. Everything was just, you just went out and pretty much counted the laps until it was over. And I think regardless of how fit you were, that 4th moto was always just hell. Yeah. And I think everyone would. We've talked, you know, I've talked to JSR a bunch of times about it over the years, and you know, he was as fit as anyone, if not more fit. And you know, even he said, "Man, I just gritted my teeth and waited for it to be over."
Yeah, no, and it's actually had very little experience with that. Like when I came up in the early 2000s and rode pro in Canada, that was kind of on the way out, and it's exactly the reason is guys were kind of like, hey, I'd rather just win this one class and be strong in this one class than spread myself thin for the whole day, right? And then also it became more, 125 or 250 class titles instead of like, you got to get your combined points for the championship, which when you grew up in the 90s, that's how it was. You get the 125 and 250 points combined. But yeah, the one time I actually crashed in the 4th moto of the day, knocked myself out, and I never did that again because it is a true grind, and you guys are, you know, the Iron Man of the sport back then. Now, switching gears towards the MXP, how did that all come about? How did you get into that, the magazine, and how did that start for you?
Well, initially it started just kind of by chance. I mean, I was going to, I want to say 2005, I think. I was going to, my wife and I were going to Vegas just on a short little weekend vacation to see the U.S. Open back then. I remember it used to be at the MGM Grand. So we were going there just for a vacation, and I'd reached out to Mark Travers, who was the editor at MXP back then, and said, hey, man, I'm going to, we're going to go to Vegas. If you got me maybe a media pass or something, I could maybe come up with a story on it after. And he was like, yeah, sure. So that was initially how it started. I went to Vegas, came back, wrote a story for him. He published it in the mag back then. I mean, that's a long time ago, but
15 years.
Yeah, it snowballed from there. I did it again the next year. And then I think I went to Anaheim also the following year, did a story. And then just when the position, I think, of assistant editor opened up a number of years later, it just kind of was a easy transition into doing more work and kind of getting me the writing thing down. So
yeah, that's how it all started. And, here we are a number of years later, still rolling with it.
Yeah, and it's cool just to be behind the scenes on that kind of stuff. You get to learn about some riders that you might not know about, and just some stories that you were around for, and you just didn't get the full idea of what was going on, and you get to really dive into that stuff. So as a bench racer, I mean, that would be the ultimate goal, to be able to work for a magazine and be in the inside of all these stories coming out. And I got to say, the MXP magazine is a world-class style of magazine. You guys do such a bang-up job on that. You guys do our programs each year. Now, just get to the end of this year. What do we expect for MXP? Is there a new magazine on their way? What to expect?
Well, we plan to release the next one at the opening round in Gopher in a couple weeks. This one's, as you can imagine, this one's a challenge to put together, just because, not that there's a lack of, there's been lots of storylines, obviously, with Supercross, and again with with the Triple Crown series coming up, but the challenge has been just with photos and stuff. I mean, usually by this time every year the series is well underway, and James Lissamore, our awesome photographer, has tons of photos to choose from, all that stuff. So putting together mag stories, you need good photos.
Yeah.
You need really good quality photos. That's what makes it's not so much my words that make the magazine good. It's mostly the photos to look at. But so you need good photos, and those have obviously been hard to come by in recent months. But we're kind of got some good stories, got some good old stories, and it should be a good issue that's going to be debuted at Gopher Dunes.
That's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. Always exciting getting that fresh magazine right off the press there. And you guys, like I said, you guys do such a bang-up job there. We're looking forward to it. Anyways, Poms, that's all the time we have for today. I appreciate you jumping on with us. Look forward to seeing you at Gopher Dunes, and then Walton Provincial, and then we're on to the Triple Crown. Only 3 months behind the initial start date, but we're going to get there, and we're going to get lots of photos for your magazine.
Hey, man, listen, super proud that you guys have been able to put a series together this year, and we look forward to covering it, and look forward to watching that first gate drop in I guess it's a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, awesome, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and keep up the good work.
You've got the ride, and we've got the parts to keep you going. Royal Superstores, with massive selections of products no matter what your power sport is. Top brands you've come to trust. Huge selection, amazing prices. Your one-stop shopping destination for the rider in you. Royal Distributing, Canada's power sports leader. Shop online, by phone, or in one of 4 retail locations. Fast coast-to-coast shipping right to your door. Royal Distributing. Eat, sleep, ride.
And we're back with another social media check-in, Gauldy. And this week we check in across Canada on some of the tracks. Obviously, Ammo, the events that you've been running that have been stellar. There you go at Walton, at ladies racing there. Great dirt, great racing all across the board.
Yeah, Brad Nemeth taking a lot of great shots. Big shout out to him. My boy Austin Watling had some photo issues or something there, so it didn't work. But awesome to see the 204 GM Moto, the grassroots moto, going to Manitoba. They got fired up there last weekend, so amazing to see that the country's open up, and boom, the ADRA is back as well.
Yeah, so ADRA, Alberta's going, and you'll see on the next slide here, Lethbridge had a race this weekend. I seen Keelan Meston and Jared Petruska made it out to that, so a couple of Triple Crown threats in there, so it's great to see those guys. I haven't been to that race in years since I watched you race the Pro Class 125 250 days. Riverglade, they're out practicing, not racing yet in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia, but it's good to see they're practicing.
SMX Motocross out there in Quebec right there. That's Jeremy Mackay's home track right there. They had raced, I believe, 2 weekends ago as well, so they're back going. MX Deschambault, unfortunately, unsure if we're going there this year on the schedule right there. We're hoping to get there in September. It's still up in the air a little bit, but such a beautiful place. Lots of guys checking there. And just to touch base on that Lethbridge one, that was actually their Wednesday night practice. They moved it to Saturday because of the rain, and then they were able to just kind of did some gate drops for fun. So it wasn't actually a race, but they did some gate drops for fun.
Gotcha. I just seen the photos. I thought it was gate drops, but here's another gate drop here.
Yeah.
And this was from not last weekend, the weekend before, Walton, Ontario Provincial. This was late in the day. You can see the dust. That was a great day. And man, they were against the elements with the heat. It was a hot day out there.
Oh my God, it was 40 degrees all day long. This is like the second or third last moto of the day. I saw someone chirp the post saying they could have watered. Well, I'll tell you what, they did a pretty badass job for how hot it was in this late in the day. You know what sucks? The videos never do that part justice. You know, if they get right down in there really wasn't that much dust. It looks like it here, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. Barry and the boys did a great job, and it was awesome to see for sure.
No, it was good. And I talked to many pro riders as well, juniors, intermediates, vet riders. They all enjoyed themselves, had a great day. And we know how hard the clay is to keep intact throughout the day. And that leads me to the prequel, I keep calling it, the Gopher Dunes race this weekend. I'm hoping to get some Western riders out there, some Eastern riders out there. Hopefully we can fill that pro class up again. Obviously it's been like 35 riders per weekend, so I'm hoping for a full gate this weekend of 40 riders.
Yeah, I would agree too. I feel like some guys might take it off. I'm not too sure if your brother might race or some of those other local guys, just to kind of maybe take a little bit of a break. We have been going pretty solid, but hey, hopefully we see them there. But yeah, you're not going to get any breaded practice for that Triple Crown in 3 weeks. Then this weekend here at Gopher Dunes. So all the Westerners, all the Canadian riders, come on in, take advantage of it, and we'll make it good for you. We give long motos there, 20-minute motos easy. So come on and enjoy the sun and the fun in the sand.
Yeah, nothing like tuning your bike into the track. That's going to be round one. And yeah, like you said, Cole Thompson will be there. He loves it. He's loving the Ontario Provincial. Talk to him, yeah. So he's excited for that. He's chasing those provincial championships like he did back on 65
Hey, is he getting my payback? He doesn't say thanks or message me or anything. I'm hoping he's getting my payback.
I'll have to ask him. He must be getting it. But anyways, Gauldy, another great episode. A lot of good info for the people coming out to the Triple Crown July 25th. We're only a few short weeks away. I'm excited, and I'll see you this weekend at the AMO Round 3 Ontario Provincial.
Sounds good, guys. Another InsideX done. We out.